And welcome back to the craft room. This is another one of our cards that we are featuring for my September to December mini catalogue launch party. Now this one features the Stars at Night bundle with the stamp set, the dies and the embossing folder. And the reason I've featured this one again is because this one uses lots of other elements of that bundle that we didn't touch with our beautiful gold glittery star that we did as a craft along card. It uses the stamp set, obviously, for the background and the beautiful stamp here. It uses the embossing folder actually as an embossing folder, which is really, really nice. And it uses this really cute bling as well that you can see here that just shines so gloriously. So that bling is actually the adhesive backed glittered sequins. So that's in the new catalogue. There's a blue one, which I think must be balmy blue. There's a clear one, or a silver one there, which I think you might be able to colour if you wanted a different colour. And there's a green one, which I think would be either lemon lime twist or garden green. Maybe I'd have to look it up, but I'm sure it says in the catalogue what the colour is. This is all in the blues here, so you guys know me. I love my blues, but I've chosen the blues to match the lovely blue bling. But if you wanted to try colouring in the clear or just use clear, you could use any colour, that combination that you like. Okay, so let's get started. So to make this one, you will need a card base. This is my normal size card base, 8 1/4 by 5 1/2, scored in the middle. That there, give that a bit of a burnish. You've got a layer of Night of Navy, and don't worry too much about the sizes. As I say, I will put these in the PDF for you. A layer of Balmy Blue. Obviously, that's our two focus colours. You've got a layer of Basic White, which will go on top like that. And then you've got another piece. You need another piece of white cardstock for die cutting our star, which we'll get to in a minute. So that's basically the card base there. What we're going to do first of all is grab our card base and our Night of Navy ink. And out of the stamp set, this gorgeous sort of spray of stars here, just this little one here. One of those stamps that sometimes would get overlooked because it's like a background stamp, but I think it's very, very pretty. Grab a block. And we're going to stamp ourselves a little background. When I say background, though, we only really need to concentrate on the outside of the card because the middle, obviously, is going to be covered by the layers. I might just give something to protect my surface, and we'll start stamping. So just around the edges, move in and out a little bit or up and down so that it looks a bit different all the way around. Now, I might even try rotating the stamp. That might make it even look a bit differenter. Oh, that one's a bit crooked. So just all the way around the edge. You can do the middle as well if you need to or want to, but obviously you're not going to see it because it's going to be covered. It's a bit of a waste of ink, but that's okay. There we are. So that's the whole edges of our card base stamped with that beautiful background stamp. Now, I just fell in love with this just as a card base. I think that's really, really nice. Just all the edges done with the background stamp. You could put a Merry Christmas or something in the middle there, and that is a beautiful, simple stamped Christmas card. So, yeah, we'll make a few of those as well, just for really quick, pretty cards. We're not going to do that, though. We're going to add some more stuff. Now, the first thing we need to do is just get our Night of Navy layer and pop it on with some glue. And it breaks my heart because we're actually covering some of that background. But I suppose that's why it's a background. Otherwise it'd be a foreground. Make sure I open my card the right way. That wouldn't be the first time if I put it upside down. Okay, so what we might do now is grab our white piece of cardstock. We'll pop that aside to dry a bit. We've got our balmy blue and our white. So the first thing we're going to do is grab our stamp set again and pop our sentiment on. We are going to emboss this layer, but we want to put our sentiment on first so it stamps completely. So I'm just using the Merry Christmas from the stamp set, the Stars at Night stamp set. And we're going to pop that on there. So this Merry Christmas wants to be slightly off straight in my mind. For some reason, I think the C's and everything sort of leans to the side, which means it's begging me to do it at an angle. If you see what I mean, the E's and the R's, now they're facing upwards, which means to me they need to be on that angle to be straight. I know, I'm weird. I get it. Okay, so we're going to grab the, which is already here, the embossing folder from the bundle. This is the hybrid embossing folder because if you watched the first video, you can actually cut and emboss at the same time. Now, we're going to be a bit strategic about where we place this in the embossing folder. You could pop it all the way smack bang in the middle, but we're going to be putting our own star in the middle and all that detail would be lost underneath the star. So my thoughts here are move it over to the left a wee bit and get some of that big, beautiful star in the picture, but lots of other detail as well. So something about there. So if I pop this embossing folder there, I get some detail here where my sentiment is. Get that big, beautiful star in the top right-hand corner. I get a sort of spray of stars there and another lot of stars there. So that's where I think we should put it. Totally up to you if you were making this one. I didn't check that I put it in the right way, so hopefully I haven't popped it in upside down. No, I did it the right way. Okay, so there we are. So that's our embossed sentiment stamped card. We'll need that back in a minute, so we'll pop that somewhere handy. So this one can go straight onto your balmy blue layer. No ribbon in this one, so I don't have to panic that I've forgotten it. And just straight onto there. Okay, so we'll pop that with our card base. We won't pop it on yet until we've decorated it a bit. Okay, so what we're going to do now is stamp the focal image of the stamp set, in my view, this beautiful big star. So I might clean that off. Use this stamp block. I think it's big enough. Yes, there we are. So that's our big star. You've got a scrap, or you need a scrap of white cardstock. And your Night of Navy ink. And we're going to die cut this, so it doesn't matter if it's in the middle or not, but it does need to be inked up nicely. And I'm hoping I'm going to get a complete stamping because I haven't put my mat underneath it. But thankfully cardstock has two sides, so if we have to come back with the mat underneath it, we will. That's pretty good. Pretty good stamping there. Just as a hint, and you've probably seen this before, these photopolymer stamps are quite firm. That's why they last as long as they do, because they're quite sturdy. But that sometimes means that you need to use a foam mat or a silicone mat underneath to get a decent stamping, especially when it's new, or if your stamp pad's not as juicy as it could be. So to finish that one off, we're going to grab our dies. So the centre one of this big composite die is the one that fits the star we've chosen. And the embossing folder comes back into the show. So we position the die, when we're using this as a composite embossing folder, we position the die so that it matches the little starry constellation there. And you can feel when it's in the right place. It doesn't click, but it sits into the grooves, so it won't wobble all that much. You can feel that it's in the right spot. And what we're going to do is add our star. Now this is the bit that I have to think about. We're going to add our star. How do we going to add our star? Because that's not going to do what I want. Sometimes it's best to emboss first, or cut first and then emboss second, which we might revert to. It's because I've stamped it and I want it to line up, that's all. So if I can keep that, hold that with one hand firm and then position it. Yep, that's going to work. You see how I'm doing that? I've got my hand, this one, my left hand holding the dies in place in relation to the embossing folder. And then with my right hand, I'm just moving the star so that the stamped star, so that the prongs fit in with the die, which I think I've pretty much got. Closing it very carefully, holding it all very firm so nothing moves and ruins my sandwich, popping it into the embossing machine again firmly so that nothing moves. We'll be back for take 2 and put that through. Hopefully nothing moved. I don't think it did. Good. So that is what's intended with the embossing folder. So you get your star with some little ridges, some little embossing on it. I don't know that you can really see it all that well, but anyway, that's it. That's an embossed star. We'll pop those aside now. There we are. As I said, if you find it a wee bit tricky to coordinate all that, I would stamp the star first, then die cut it just on its own, and then pop it through the embossing folder in the right position. That might be easier if you have trouble to juggle those 3 things at once. So what I'm going to do now is I've got my balmy blue, light balmy blue blend, and I'm just going to give my little star just a wee bit of colour, just in, not everywhere, just in the centre here, just a little bit more interest. This is the second colour. Hardly a contrast colour, but you know what I mean. So I'm just colouring those little white halves. There we are. Cool. I think that just gives the star a little bit more depth than it had before. There we are. So let's bring our card base back. So we just need our panel that's got the embossed white layer and the sentiment on it. I'm going to grab some dimensionals again and pop our star up on dimensionals. I'm just using large dimensionals, and I'll take them out as far as I can and those prongs. If you wanted to support the ends of the prongs, you'd probably have to use some smaller ones to take them right up into the edges, but I'm quite happy with those 4 there. We'll pop that onto our card, sort of to the left of your sentiment and above, obviously. There we are. As I said, it was important to choose where you popped the card into the embossing folder so that you had some nice detail around it to add some interest, rather than just having everything covered over by that big beautiful star in the middle. Okay, so let's add this. We'll bring out some more dimensionals and add this to our card base. And the last thing we need to do is our bling. So again, as I mentioned, we're going to use the sparkly glitter sequins. Here we go, we're going to use the blue ones. Let's have a look and see if they'll actually colour. Let's see. Once we've got these on, we'll have a look and see if we can colour the white ones. And they just all fall apart. We'll see. Here we go, grab my little tool. Okay, so we'll grab those. Just so sparkly. And that is our card with our cute card with our Stars at Night stamp set. So using more of the stamp set, more of the dies, and more of the embossing folder in a more conventional way there. Okay, so that one's finished. I'll just pop that away and let's see if we can actually colour these little sequins with some blends. Now, what colour might we like? Let's see. Let's see if we can colour them yellow. So I've got my dark, no, not lemon lolly. I'll go dark. I want my, what might be in another box? Oh no, that's all right. I will go dark lemon lolly then. Daffodil Delight would have been my choice, but it's off somewhere else. So we'll just grab a little clear one. See if we can colour that. Oh yeah. It's very subtle because of the colour that I've chosen, but it's definitely colouring. I'll do a more in-your-face colour and see how it looks. So this is Dark Poppy Parade, and I might try the brush end as well. Oh, that's pretty good. I'll do another one. I'm getting carried away now. I'll do another one with the lemon lolly, but I'll use the brush end. Okay. Doesn't make it any darker, but it makes it easier. There we are. So you can colour these little clear ones to the colour of your choice. If you do that, I wouldn't touch them straight away. I wouldn't. I'd let them dry a wee bit before you even put them on your card. But you can definitely get any colour that you like from this particular pack of glittery sequins. Glitter sequins, yeah. So there we are. Problem solved. So whatever colour you wanted to make this card, you can make yourself a sequin to match with a blend or a marker and make it match nicely. Okay, so that is another one of our cards for this year's launch party. I hope you enjoyed that one and you'd like to give it a go yourself. Okay, so I'll see you very soon.